Hi everyone, it's Emily from Go Get 'Em Coaching here. I hope you're all having a wonderful Friday. It's beautiful and sunny here, lovely leading into the weekend. If you jump on later on, let me know that you're there. Leave a comment or just let me know who it is. And if you're watching the recording, I'd love it if you could press like or a love heart just to let me know that you've watched as well. It's always good to know if people have seen what I've recorded and to get feedback on what was useful and ideas and sharing within the group as well as online with the videos as well. So please do leave a like or a comment. That would be great. I'd really appreciate it. Today I wanted to talk to you. I've been sharing, as you know, I've been sharing information over the last couple of weeks on a daily basis about the kinds of things that are often shared, like things that I talk about with my clients in sessions, in order to kind of develop up a bit of a resource bank of ideas. And today's sort of a continuation of that, but on a slightly different topic, relating particularly to using journaling in an intentional way in order to create a positive day or a positive week for yourself. Now, I thought Friday is quite a good time to share this information. For one reason is that I realise that this is something I do every day and something I haven't necessarily shared with you, and this morning I thought, I probably should mention this. But also because Friday's a good day to kind of set up intentionally the week ahead. So thinking a little bit about what you're intending to do when you spring into action again next week, and also about your weekend as well. It was, heading into your weekend with an intentional plan around what it is that you want to be really focused on, and making the most of the time that you have recreationally as well as in your work, in your everyday work. The other reason that I thought to do this week was that I shared a quote earlier in the week from Nelson Mandela, which I thought was very relevant to this particular topic. And I'm going to have to read it because it's just gone out of my head. The best way to predict the future is to create it. And I just thought it's just such a powerful and relevant quote to use to kind of really think about. Often what happens is, and particularly with journaling or with any kind of aspect of our lives, is we sometimes find ourselves mentally getting caught up in what has been happening, what happened yesterday and what just happened earlier today, in what happened in that meeting you were just in, or something that someone said in the last few days, or something that you said that you regret, or that you feel down about. We often do use our present moments to reflect on the past. And the other thing we often use our present moments for is to reflect and worry about the future. So we tend to think, I wonder what's coming. I wonder what's going to happen with that. So there's this kind of sense of being like an observer in our lives, where we're kind of traveling along on the train carriage of life, waiting to see what's going to happen based on what we did yesterday and then what the consequences will be tomorrow. And I think that quote from Nelson Mandela captures really, really well that the best way to predict the future is really to actively create it and have a role in that. So rather than just being, a passenger observing it and watching it happen and unfold, there's that real active role that we play in actually creating our future and creating our present as well, so that we feel really a part of it and really empowered to make the most of the time that we have. And one of the ways that I find can be really, really useful in doing this, and I know that it's something that a lot of people use, and something that can be really useful to think about if it's not something you're doing already, is journaling in an intentional way. So journaling is such a useful tool in so many different ways, and for some people it can be something that they use to express themselves and debrief some of those worries that they have or things that have happened, and that's certainly a valuable use of journaling time. But the journaling that I'm talking about here today is really about using it in an intentional way and in a forward focused and creative, present and forward focused creative way to really think about, how do I want things to be? How do I want things to be today? How do I want to experience my day? And how do I then want, things to unfold over the coming days, week, we'll go with a week for now. I think you can, there's all kinds of ways you can do this. Like, for instance, with some of my planning tools, you can plan out a year in advance by doing this really intentional thinking and processing about, how do I want things to be? But today's journaling prompts are really focused around today, creating the most positive day that you can today, or creating the most positive week ahead. Now, as I sort of mentioned, Friday's a great day to really think through how you'd like your next week to go, because often on a Friday, we celebrate the wins of the week and we head off on the weekend without necessarily thinking or planning for what is going to be our priority next week. But it can be a really useful tool to motivate us and get us inspired to actually set things up on a Friday before we head off on our weekend. Have a plan for the weekend of things that we're looking forward to and things that we're going to enjoy. Obviously, I know not everybody works during the week, but sort of generally speaking, Friday is a good day to use for a reflection, usually in a really good headspace, and so it can be quite a positive experience. We can be a bit more free-flowing and open in our thinking because we're less weighed down sometimes by the everyday tasks that happen. But it's also a really nice positive way to finish the week and to be ready to spring into action when we come back to it, either the next day or the next on the Monday when we're back into work. So the other way that we can use it is daily. So you can use it each morning when you get up. You can find it really a useful tool to kind of get you really inspired and invigorated in the morning and thinking consciously about, how do I want my day to be? So one of the things, I've got some prompts here that I wrote down. Let me just check if there's anything else I wanted to sort of say. Structuring, setting up a regular structured time for your journaling. So as I mentioned, it might be a day a week where you do this, with a plan being for the week, or it might be in the mornings, or it might even be in the evening before you go to bed, you plan your next day. So it's really good to have a structure around that and a plan. Setting a timer for yourself, so thinking about how long is a reasonable amount of time that you'd like to spend on this. I'd suggest a minimum of 20 minutes, because to really delve into it and get into it, 20 minutes is a good amount of time where you can really be present in the moment and allow yourself to kind of think in that open, creative way. Maximum of about 50 minutes, I'd say between 20 and 50 minutes maximum. If you go over that, you tend to get bogged down in it, and you tend not to be as action oriented, because you can get stuck in the journaling and less likely to actually move forward with some of what you've done or what you've gained from the actual time that you've spent refining and reflecting on what it is that you're wanting to get out of your day. Setting a timer. So one of the things I like to do is set a timer on my phone. So I'll just put 20 minutes and I'll set the timer, and then the alarm goes off in 20 minutes, and then I know I'm done. I've got as much, and it really helps me focus and hone in on what I need to talk about, rather than rambling or going into stuff that happened yesterday again, or wanting to write about other things that are not as relevant. It really helps refine your thinking and get you focused. It can be useful to actually start, when you start writing in your journal, by actually identifying, what are the key things that I need to think about today? What are the key things that I really need to hone in on? And it gives you a bit of structure and purpose, and keeps that efficiency there in the way that you're writing. Now, I've got some questions, some specific journaling questions, which you might find useful to use, either if you do a weekly journal entry that's about setting up your week in this intentional way, or a day. So the only thing that changes is you say, what will I do today, as opposed to this week. So the first question is, what do I want today or this week to be like? That's your first question, is just to think about, what do I want it to be like? How do I want it to be? So rather than thinking about, I wonder how it's going to be, it's that intentional, how do I want it to be? The second question is, how do I want today or this week to feel. And this is such an important element of intention, is actually getting to the nitty gritty, gut feel that you really want to experience this week. Because sometimes those fears and those thoughts that we have are driven out of the worries about how it might feel if it doesn't go to plan. But often we don't think intentionally about, well, what are the feelings that I actually want to experience? And so it might be, that I want to experience a sense of peace of mind, or I want to experience a sense of being inspired, or I want to feel like I'm growing, so it's really like honing in on those feelings that you want to experience. So as a starting point, like, that's so important. And then sort of shifting from the feelings and the kind of day that you want to have, or the kind of week that you want to have, and drill down into what activities or achievements will help me feel this way. So you start thinking about, well, what are the things that help me to feel that way that I then need to build into my day or my week? And these aren't the sole, things that you're going to be doing, but they are elements of what will happen throughout your week that will help you to generate those feelings. So it's not about, planning out your whole week and each day, every minute of every day. It's about thinking about, well, what are the priority things that I really need to do this week, achieve, overcome, challenge myself to get finished, or things that I find pleasure in, or things that I enjoy. What are those things? And what are the key things that will help me to feel the way that I'm looking to feel this week? Because those things are things that you need to be able to draw that link and work out, well, these are the activities that are actually going to help me with that. And finally, what therefore are my 3 key priorities for today or for this week? So you're actually narrowing it down. You're not taking, as I said, you can have a long list of things that make you feel inspired, or a long list of things that make you feel like you're growing, or that you feel, happy and like you're enjoying your days. But you're not necessarily going to jam pack your days with all of that sort of stuff, because you have to do other things as well. And so part of it is really like honing in on what are the 3 key things that I think are going to be most powerful for me this week, or this, today, and writing them down and just listing those 3 key things. Now, as I've sort of mentioned in the last couple of days, I've talked a bit about procrastination and the way in which sometimes we put things off because we think they won't be pleasurable. But what sort of flowed through the content of those videos is that sometimes in doing those things that we've been putting off, we actually feel a lot of achievement and pleasure and reward from doing those things. So it can be useful to not just think about the fun things or the enjoyable things, but to think about the things that will be really rewarding when you've actually done them, and consider building those into your priorities as well. And then when you set up your week or your day, structure it so the most challenging thing, or the thing that you feel most resistant towards but will be the biggest achievement for you, to put that as early as you can in the day. So you've got a bit of a plan around having the hard things done, and then the easier, more pleasurable, enjoyable, immediate gratification type activities as flowing on from there. So you're kind of rewarding yourself for challenging those points of resistance and moving through them. So then I said sort of scheduling them into your calendar, either for the day or the week ahead, like putting them in, like deliberately doing it and scheduling it in a way that feels like it can be rewarding and reinforcing to help you to keep going. I think, what else? Oh, just finishing your day on a high. So putting the most enjoyable things late in your day, so you really feel like, yeah, I've ticked off some of these hard things. I feel a sense of reward and achievement, but I'm also really satisfied to have finished my day on a high doing some of the things that I love to do. And you can do those things then guilt-free, because you've actually done some of the things that are more challenging or that you've been putting off a bit earlier in the day. So I hope that you found today's journaling video useful. As I mentioned, really this is about intentional journaling. There's lots of other forms of journaling as well, and this is just one way of using journaling in a way that can be quite positive and helpful in setting up your day or your week. I hope you found it useful. Please do leave a like or a comment just to let me know what you think, or that you've just watched it. It'd be good to know. And otherwise I will I'd love for you to share also any ideas that you have. Like if you do use, journaling for different means, please share how you use journaling and how you find it helpful and beneficial. And also please like or share this video with anyone that you think might find it helpful as well. Now I'm heading off on the weekend, and I'll hope to see you next week. As many of you would know, I'm expecting a baby any day now, so the only reason why I wouldn't be back next week might be if everything happens over the weekend and we have a little baby boy next week. I will still jump on at some point, but it just might be a few days long, a little while longer if that is what happens. So we have our fingers and toes crossed, but I also will look forward to seeing you next week as well. All right, well, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll look forward to speaking with you very soon. Okay, take care. Bye.